Welcome to the Creator Spotlight, the interview portion of the Spotlight here on Fightful. I am Steven Jensen, as always, joined by Jeremy Lambert, and our guest today is the former New South Tag Team Champion, former New South Champion, and current two-time reigning defending Action Champion. We got Any Style, Adam Priest, joining the show. Adam, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
Good, guys, man. Thank y'all for having me on. I'm always surprised when somebody wants to hear me say something, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no, we're very much looking forward to this, man. I've been following your career pretty closely for the last few years. I know you just started probably about 5-6 years ago. But really, like, you got on my radar through New South and like immediately like became like a guy in the scene. Like, what was it like kind of having such like a really like a fast rise? And a lot of it kind of came like during the pandemic as well.
Yeah, I don't want to bounce around. So tell me if I venture off. Yeah, New South was my first where I started wrestling a lot of names and stuff. I started at a real small place, like kind of like a shithole place in Alabama. It was kind of the guys training the guys, so I never really formally got trained. So I had a handful of matches this one year, and then a handful of matches this other year, and then I met a few guys, and I learned, this isn't real. So my first 2 years, I really don't count as much. So then I got in with the New South guys like CMD and at the time like Donnie and some of those guys. But I started getting a lot of work there, and that got me into Tennessee and Georgia and a lot of those places. I met guys like formerly known as Logan Creed, and I don't know if y'all know who he is now, but all those guys. And then during the pandemic, the South was kind of the only place running, for good or worse, however you want to look at it. So all the big names were coming down here. So it was a perfect storm of, hey, we're running. Nowhere else is. So all the names, the GCW names, these indie names, they all came down to us. And I wasn't good yet, which I don't think I'm that great now, but I kind of had to get good fast because I kind of had no choice. So unfortunately and fortunately, COVID was the best thing to happen for me in a way.
Sure.
Shitty way to say it, but that's kind of how things kind of got rolling, and had some matches with some names, and I just got better. So I'm still always getting better now. So.
Yeah, I mean, Logan Creed, that's a guy. You might have just been like tweeting about him potentially like earlier today, actually. If people want to put two and two together on who that person may or may not be. That guy, very big future for him. I know he's a free agent currently at the time of this recording, and I've been saying for a long time he's like he'd just be a massive TV wrestler, I believe.
Yeah, me and Logan Creed were best friends, and then he died, and a new guy, Monster, was born, and
there we go.
We've had some bad nights here lately, so he's not real happy with me right now, but we go way back. So he's the best working big man there is. But
yeah, he's the man. He's the man. So did anyone else like when you were training, anyone else kind of like make it, or any other names we'd recognize? I know you said you kind of like were self-trained, but like kind of like in that era, like anyone that we might know of?
So my first I'm proud to say, like, my first day of training, a guy by the name of Daniel Perez was there, but now Rolando Perez of NWA, we had our first match together. We tagged versus two other guys. So I started with him in a shithole in Boaz, Alabama, in some random building, and he's done really good for himself. Perez has really done well for a guy, me and him, that thought nothing come of us both. He's done real well. So that's one notable name that came from that building. So
that's cool. Yeah, you guys have both killed it, especially like New South is, and Rolando Freeman on NWA, for those of you who may not know.
Freeman, sorry.
Well, no, Rolando Perez on the Indies. I mean, of course. I mean, he's a guy. Both of you guys like really synonymous with New South. I mean, you mentioned CMD and like some others. Could you speak kind of to like just the overall experience with New South? Because like we've interviewed quite a few people that have been a part of their shows, and they put on like a really great product, and I really loved Action Clash as well.
Yeah, It really, I feel like at its height, it was really good during the pandemic. Everything was really good and things were rolling. I'm not going to sit here and bash people or bash anything. It's just sometimes your time runs out somewhere and you've done everything there is to do and you don't agree with some people or some things. So it's time to move on. I don't keep up with it now, but listen, I met Derek Neal there. He taught me how to he taught me a lot. Derek Neal, he's one of the best veterans there is on the indies. He's better than he ever has been. He's 20 years in. Guys like I said, Derek Neal, who else? Like some of those indie names that come in, the Mance Warners, I wrestled Rhino there. I wrestled Davey Boy Smith. So, full circle, my first ever indie wrestling show, I watched Rhino. And about 3 years later, I wrestled him in a main event. So that was the first cool thing in the indies where I was like, oh, I've actually done something cool now. Because I was a big Rhino mark. So, just names like that, it's a learning experience. Listen, I can't go back and watch those matches now. That's just 2 years ago, and sure. I can't watch my shit. I hate my shit. But I was really learning how to do things better. I still can't watch them now, but I was really getting better at that time. And just a lot of experienced guys that I wrestled in. And they really gave me a good platform and got behind me. And I appreciate dumping those guys for doing what they did. But sometimes your time just runs out somewhere. And I just had to get out of Alabama. So as much as I love it, I had to get out of here. So
when it comes to the pandemic, I know you.
As you can see by my cup here.
Oh, yeah. Roll tide, yeah.
I know you said that, it was a good thing that happened. And I understand what you mean by that, because you were able to stay busy in the pandemic. And one of the ways you stayed busy is you were on AEW Dark Elevation a lot. I don't want to assume how you came to be on this show, but I'm kind of maybe putting puzzle pieces together here. And was that through Sean Dean, because you wrestled him, and then maybe a week later you were on AEW. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I wrestled Sean at Action, and Sean likes to say I hurt him, but Sean didn't know what he was doing. Sean slipped. So he'll never hear this because he's a big name or whatever now, so he don't care about me. But, I wrestled Sean, but he landed on his head. I put him on his head. So that wasn't why I was already figured to be there. I'm sure if the plans were the other way around, he would have made sure I wasn't there. But, no, Sean's a good dude. We wrestled at Action, but for a time period, I was working out at the Nightmare Factory before it was what it is now. I don't want to get in the ins and outs, but they would ask people, "Hey, come work out." I don't know what everybody's money agreements were or anything, but I was there for a while, and I'd say the person that spent the most time critiquing and helping me was QT, of anybody, but there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen training and helping. So I was just there a few weeks, but something personal made me come home, and I couldn't spend 2 or 3 days there at a time a week. So something personal came up, and I had to come home and stay home for a while. So I spent a lot of time there and got to know Sean Dean. And everybody thinks I'm a Georgia guy for some reason, because I've come up around that same group, that AC Mack, Alan Angel, Sean Dean, all those A4 kids. So I just come up around a lot of them, and I know them. So I just got my foot in the door there. QT asked me to come to Dark, and it was different then. It's not like it is now, or was. I know it's not a thing anymore, but I was there, man, and I was getting a lot of matches. I mean, it was during the pandemic, and they needed a lot of guys for what they were doing. And they treated a lot of indie guys well, man. They say what you want about whatever. They paid a lot of guys and helped a lot of indie guys that weren't working. A lot of guys didn't do anything but that for 2 years. So they did a lot for indie guys and really helped out. So I enjoyed my time there, and I've went back a time or two, but I just didn't want to be the guy hanging around. I still had some growing to do. So I had some bookings there, and I went on about my business. So, but I don't know if that answers your question or not. Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't want to go the long way around, but
no. You let me know kind of how it came about, and then your experience there, which is what I was looking for. And then I was gonna kind of piggyback off of that because you did do the ROH taping recently, and I was wondering kind of the difference from doing the pandemic tapings to actually sort of being a little bit on the road as they've gotten out of everyone's gotten out of the pandemic.
Wasn't much different. Let me see how to word this. I will be back. They did the tapings in Orlando, but it was just, they had only had one other set of tapings for ROH, the AEW ROH. So it's very fresh, and I don't think they had an idea of exactly what they were going to do. But now with the Collision tied in with the Ring of Honor, and you see the different groups or with certain shows, I think things are a little bit different, and you might see me there sooner rather than later. I don't know. But it wasn't much different than the dark and elevation of before when I was there. You seen that I was just in a 6-man and stuff like that. But I think some things got ironed out, and it will be a little different going forward. I think you'll get a more ROH style, or what people perceive as ROH, going forward. And that's just me from the outside looking in and just hearing people talk. So hopefully I'll be back.
Awesome.
And I think I will be. So
I hope to see you in Atlanta potentially. Like, I know AEW is coming here very soon, later this month. They're doing a big Collision Dynamite taping and stuff, hanging it all in. So I definitely love to see you as a part of AEW and Ring of Honor more often. And you mentioned the Nightmare Factory, and a guy from the Nightmare Factory we gotten to know him pretty well is Baron Black, and I've met you in person and interviewed you briefly actually at Battle Slam before. You have become quite the legend at Battle Slam. In fact, some of my favorite entrances of all time are you coming out to Gucci Mane's Lemonade. And Baron Black told us that you almost blew the speakers out the first time you came to it too at the base. So what have your experiences been like at Battle Slam? Because you've become like one of the most over people on that show, in my opinion.
Look, man, I had a blast. It's fun being the token white guy sometimes, so it was, look, the first few shows were great. It was fun. I hadn't been back in a minute. Baron helped me out a lot. Baron's been good to me. I had a blast at those shows, man. I mean, you were there for all the wild ones. It was just every night I get there and I go, what can we do to it was the first time I could actually show, like, hey, Adam's not just some bland white guy. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny because you got like all your like other like wrestlers that are there. Everyone just like, you just hear from random pockets, you hear, Priest, Priest. I love that because like everyone's like kind of in on it. Like, it's fun.
I got a lot of street cred from those shows. Yeah, let's just put it that way. So had some ladies come out with me one time. I got heat from the girlfriend on that one, but everything. It was really fun, man. It was really fun. Got to meet some cool people. He had some artists there and stuff, and I just had a blast, doing that. And I now do kind of some similar stuff at Naptown Pro in Indianapolis. They do some similar, stuff for like heavily cultured shows and stuff like that, and like for the neighborhood and community and stuff. And they call me Lemon Pepper Priest. That's where that was born. So I get in trouble if I don't wear yellow, but like I've only got one set of yellow gear. So I just mix it up. I love the Meg Thee Stallion and the Gucci Mane entrances. So I just try to pop them out every once in a while. So.
Priest the Stallion.
Priest the Stallion. See, that's my favorite one. I love that one. And I thought that one would catch on, but it didn't, because I think that one's pretty cool. But that one didn't quite catch on like Lemon Pepper. So.
What was the experience like with Terminus? Because I know you did some with Terminus as well, which is kind of like a sister promotion of Battle Slam.
So I'm sure it's not a secret that like Gresham and Baron had a lot to do with that. Sure. I think the idea behind that, and me and Gresham talk a good bit now. I'm not speaking for him by no means, but like I think the idea behind it was kind of like an East Coast PWG in a way, in my vision, because those first two shows we had were effing loaded, dude. I mean, like I was in a 4-way, but my 4-way was Daniel Garcia and two other guys. I'm going blank who was in there, but it was like a crazy 4-way. And you had Bandito versus Gresham, which was supposed to be the ROH, the last ROH title match. Like there was just crazy matches on there, man. So I really think that hopefully that resurfaces. I don't know anything, but I couldn't tell you if I do know anything. Also, if that got back rolling, I really think the East Coast. I think like a DPW is kind of like that in my opinion. Probably the best show I've ever worked for, honestly. But I would really, I'm always trying to talk Gresham into getting that back going because I really think the East Coast needs which we have great shows, and I'm not shitting on any other shows or promotions, but I think that Terminus idea was really those were some loaded shows, man. So I was a fan of it. There were some really talented guys on those cards.
Yeah, and they put out a teaser not too long ago that there's like hopefully an announcement coming soon. But to be fair, every time I ever bring it up to Baron, I'm like, so what's the deal with Terminus? He's like, announcement coming soon, and then like I don't hear anything. So like,
hey, that's wrestling, buddy.
Yeah,
there's always I get
fair.
it. I get it.
That's fair. I know Jeremy's big with DPW. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, we were just talking a little bit off air before we started. I was asking about DPW because I know you're working the show. When this interview airs, the show will already have happened, but it's DPW Beast Coast this weekend, and that's a big show for them. Like you got Motor City Machine Guns, Violence is Forever. I don't know how the match is going to be. I assume that's going to be a very, very good match. We've talked to Kevin Koo and Dominic Carini. They have said that DPW is kind of like the new age ROH, with just like the production, the match style, how things are just kind of laid out and presented. So yeah, your overall thoughts and experience on DPW, because I know you've worked there for a handful of shows now, and again, returning by the time the show's aired, you've already have returned to it.
Yeah, I mean, just being honest, and it's not being degrading or anything. I didn't know who they were until a year ago. They hit me up for a booking, and I go to their Twitter, and it's like however many thousands of followers, like at least 5. I mean, I'm like really good numbers, and I go, who the fuck are these guys? And then I start looking at the card, and I'm like, oh, and I knew they had only been running for a short amount of time. And then I get there, and I was like, hey, by the way, I had this guy named Cruel, if like we can ride together. And they're like, oh, we love MLW. So we ride over and we get there and we're like, what is going on? Like we had no idea the production was that great. The crowds are crazy hot. I go in and they put me in a 6-man, and then I have a good match, and then Cruel didn't even have the booking, and he has a banger match with Carino, and now we've got bookings for years now. So like I did him well, so he owes me that anyway. So like we get there and those guys take care of guys. The crowd's hot. They're not sitting on their damn hands and spoiled ass fans. Just everything, the production, the quality of cards. That's one of those shows you get there, just like this card you're saying that's coming up. Is it Beast of the East? What is
East Coast?
Beast Coast.
Okay.
That card is fucking loaded, dude. Like I just looked at it, I was like, God, man, I gotta actually have a good match. You know what I mean? Like every card, it's one of those shows you show up and you're like, oh, I've got to be on. Like it's game on now because it's so loaded. And those guys have such a hardcore following because of the podcast too. Hey, we're running shows, and they've got such a devoted fan base that they're in on their guys. And I'll tell you one thing, dude, that crew of North Carolina kids, I wish I was born in North Carolina because there's something in the water, because some of those kids are so fucking good. The Jackson Drakes, Malachi, the Cozone, all those guys, dude. Westbrook, Big Brother. What's big boy's name? Bojack.
Sure.
Those crop of young guys, man, they're so good. So love the show. I'd never thought about the ROH because I wasn't an ROH kid growing up, but it is a good comparison to early ROH.
I mean, the show this weekend, again, it'll have aired by the time people see this interview. But yeah, Motor City Machine Guns against Violence Forever, Workhorsemen against Kevin Knight and Kevin Blackwood. You're in a submission match against Jackson Drake. I mean, talk to me about preparing for a submission match. You're any style, but it's a little bit of a different style. You gotta go for the submission. You gotta lock them in, make them tap out. But so just preparing for the submission match.
Yeah. I believe that I got to go with what's working. He's had a lot of I don't know if you know, but that kid's a damn mistake waiting to happen. He's broke his leg, he's broke his ankle, he can't stay healthy. So I think it'll be pretty easy for me. But that's a talented little shit, dude. He is good. He is talented. He's fast. But I'm just going to try and pick that ankle apart that's been messed up for a long time. He'll probably slip up. But submission matches are, speaking from the entertaining part of it, you better be on, because those are very hard to do. So I think there's different ways of going about those matches. And I think me and him will we'll definitely maybe stand out in that show, because that's the one thing I try to do is every show I'm on, people know that Adam Priest match was a little bit different than everybody else's. So,
yeah, another big match you got coming up this weekend that, will have aired, and y'all can watch it when it does air, of course, on the replay. You got a big action wrestling match coming up to defend your title against Billy Starks. What's it like representing action wrestling, for one? And Matt Griffin's a guy who we love, who I hope to get on the show again sometime soon. What's it like being like kind of the face of action wrestling, and then Billy Starks, like with obviously how successful she's been so fast and so young in her career?
Yeah, first with action, they've done a lot for me as well. I really transitioned to them. I think that's why a lot of people think I'm a Georgia guy too, because I've been there so long. But excuse me. I've represented action in Germany, in UK, all around the South, Northeast. They've done a lot for me. Matt's been great. He's got me in a little bit of trouble here lately, but Matt's been great. The show is talented as well. That's a show that is very underrated sometimes, and I'm really trying to get more eyes on it. I would like to. I don't know if Adam Priest is the best #1 guy, but I know I'm one of the best guys to have on the card. So I'm trying to really get the numbers up and get people interested with what's going on instead of just the names. It's a great show in Tyrone, Georgia. So if you're in the Atlanta area, there's a lot of wrestling in Georgia. But that is definitely one to go out to. It's a mixture of a good family show and also a very good hardcore audience also. It's meant a lot, and I try to represent it the best way I can. Billy is a psycho. I'll promise you this. She's not putting me on that apron with that move. I promise you that. I will never take it, ever. Even if she knocks me out and tries to give it to me, I'll find a way. Billy is a very talented woman. She's now a woman. I guess we can say she's a woman now. She's 18. That kid has been busting her ass. I don't know if this is going to her parents, I think, have done a great job with how they've handled it. I've had different opinions about young kids in wrestling, and they have really done a great job. Her mom and them, she has really busted her ass. There's a lot of young kids in wrestling, like Mathers and Rogan was a young kid, and just any of those guys, man. She's really earned everything she's got. She's got that fat check coming now, so I'm not sure how our match is going to go. I might just have to beat her ass. I'm not sure. But she's got that fat check coming in, so I know she's enjoying that, and she deserves every bit of it. The kid needs to not fall on her head so much, though. So, but
you sound like Mouse now.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, Mouse is always bitching at her, but listen, none of us listen until we start listening. You know what I'm saying? But she'll be fine. She'll learn. So
yeah, she took a rough. She took a psycho driver from. Oh my gosh, what was the match I just saw this weekend? It was she got knocked out like legit from it. It was oh my gosh, Brandon Kirk. It was Brandon Kirk. Brandon Kirk gave her a psycho driver on open chairs. And like they were standing on the chairs, he hit him and they tumbled right into the chairs. and it was like it was kind of scary because like, you know, he pins her, the ref counts 3, everyone's kind of confused, everyone kind of checks on her, and they wind up restarting the match. That's how crazy Billy is she's just like, all right, I'm good now, like just ring the bell again, like, and they did the whole rest of the match like it was supposed to be afterwards. But no, Matt, we've interviewed Mouse as well, and he's always talking about that. He brings up 2 things pretty often. One being how crazy Billy is, the other one being that she doesn't cheat enough. Like she needs to cheat more often to win. So,
hey, she's a heel in real life, dude. She's a little shithead, dude. But look, hey, I'm not. I try not to be that guy. It's like, hey, don't get put on your head. Sometimes we ain't got a choice. We get put on our head. But you know, you got to build a callus up. So she's young enough. She's building that callus up. You know, you got to. Like, there's a bump card, but then you gotta weigh it out. You know what I mean? So you got to build your neck muscles up a little bit. So she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Sure. And another something else we got going on this weekend that people can check out after the fact as well is TWE, which, you know, Jade Newman, those guys, the TWE arena, like in general, has become like a legendary kind of venue in itself. What's it been like being a part of TWE, and what you have going on with them this weekend? Because I did not see who you're wrestling.
So, yes, TWE has kind of been the center of the South for a while. Like, yes, Action's a great show, and you know, there's been stuff like SUP in Nashville and all that. But TWE's been the center. You know, SCI, Uncharted. It's a good center point. You know, you can get to everything for about 2 or 3 hours. You know, so Jaden's done a real good job up there. Me and him spent a lot of time in UK and Germany together, and just talking about stuff. It's been the hub, and it's a good little building. I mean, you get that building packed in there with 200 people. Sometimes that's some of your best shows. Sorry, I got some stuff going on. Sometimes that's some of your best shows, man. Packed building. I'd rather a packed building than, you know, a shitty half-filled building. So it's a great place to go. Good family atmosphere too, and also some hardcores. Pretty respectable place. Everybody treats everybody with some respect. You know, fans and workers. As far as this weekend, I'm in TWE a good bit. I've got a match coming up, not this weekend, but in a few weekends. I think that last week against Darian Bingston. But next weekend, I'm wrestling a lady by the name of Mackenzie Morgan. She is from Memphis, and she is a very talented young girl that has a lot of potential. She's a great athlete, a lot of spunk, a lot of charisma, and she's been going for a little bit over a year now. I found her at Memphis Wrestling, and I tried to get her in touch with a lot of people. She's got a lot of talent. Her and Tim Bosby, they both come up from Memphis. But Mackenzie Morgan, she's going to be a star one day, and she will probably sign a contract before I will. So just keep that name in mind.
Is Bankston still the TWE champion right now?
He is. We have a rematch because I put him out in SCI, and we finally have a rematch for the TWE titles. So coming up here soon.
That's great. So people, around the time people watch this interview, is probably around the time that y'all can check this stuff out we're talking about. So that's perfect. Please seek this out when it's available. Bankston, another guy. It was cool. It was good seeing him get a shot at the SCI. He got in with like the what do they call it, the scramble match, like which was it was cool. It was cool, and to see him as a part of it. So good stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned signing a contract, and Mackenzie will sign one before you. Is that a goal of yours to sign a contract with one of the top bigger companies?
Yeah, I think anybody that says they don't want the money, they're idiots, and I think they're lying. But here's the deal, man. I can only be me. You're always finding who you are, and I know I'm not a finished product yet. It's kind of going back to what I said about AEW. I didn't want to hang around because then you're the guy that's just 0-75 or whatever the fuck, you know. I need to go find myself, and I'm still not done finding myself. If a company wants to come to me now and be like, hey, we love it, then great, you know. But I just focused on myself. A smart guy told me one time, hey, I wasted half of my life worrying about signing that contract, and the more I worried about it, the farther I got. And when I started not giving a shit and just being me, then, you know, fortunes came. I didn't get into it to just do it for shits and giggles either. I do want some money. That'd be nice. But I have this infatuation and this love of, I look at wrestling, I think, different than a lot of people, not to get too romantic about it, but I think there's something beautiful about, I think the cream always rises, and I think the guys that learn to eat shit and eat shit for a long time really get it. We see it like a guy on TV right now, Eli Knight. I mean, look at that dude. Mm-hmm. Look at what he's done for 20 years or what. I think there's something romantic about having the territory live for a while and really finding yourself. I think it's really hard there's very few guys that can go to a performance center and really find themselves and become a big star. I think it's really important for guys like an AJ Styles or those kind of guys that really went through it and went everywhere, then to finally figure out who they are. So I really love the territory kind of style of it. And because you look at the WWE those years back in the day, like people were getting there at 37, 38 years old. You know, it's a different time, but I always it was romantic. Those are my heroes. So there's kind of a part of me that's like, I'm going to eat shit for a while, and I know it. You know what I mean? Because that's what my heroes did. I don't know if that gives a
no. Dominic Guarini said something similar when we talked to him. He's like, you are gonna have to eat shit for a while, but you have to learn to not always like the taste of it, because otherwise you'll just continue to eat it. And at some point you're gonna have to say, no, I'm not eating this anymore.
Nobody hates an 8-hour drive more than me. I fucking hate it, dude. I hate all that. I would rather be sitting here watching a football game. Like, I can't stand it, but I also love it also. You know, it's very difficult, but anything that's easy isn't worth fucking doing. You know, it's an interesting life. I mean, you miss out on a whole lot, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So,
yeah, you mentioned, you know, kind of the process of like finding yourself, and some people it might take a long time, or you know, you're constantly kind of reinventing yourself to figure out, you know, what works best. And something that I really like about you is your moveset, like your the way that you wrestle. That any style thing I think is very appropriate. But on top of that, I really like that you have a basic DDT. Like your finisher is a DDT, and you put people down for the 3 with it. The Alabama Jam you whip out every now and then when you need to. And I mean, you've hit some gnarly ones. I love the one in action, the off the top rope to the outside through the door or table, whatever was set up there that you went through. So kind of what was the idea behind choosing the DDT as your finishing move? Because I've always thought that was like, that should be a finishing move. That shouldn't be like a setup move. That's a legitimate move that would put people down.
I just had to start being myself. I think, God, I'm trying not to ramble here because there's a whole lot I would like to say.
No, please let us know what's going on.
I don't want to get lost. So I was very bland. Like the New South years, like, yes, people like me, but I knew that's not me. Like, I really need to start finding myself. So I really told myself, hey, dumb it down as much as you possibly can and be really good at 3 things and worry about so you're not worried about what you're going to do in the match. Now I can react to what's going to happen in the match. I don't want to give away all my tricks, but I think of everything with 3s. I've got a 3-move rule. I've got just all kinds of different little things in my head because I was so worried about, oh, what am I going to do to hang with all these indie fucks that do everything under the sun? I can't do that. I've always been second, but I've never been the all-state baseball player. I've never been the first-round draft pick. I've never been the most jacked. I've never been the top. I've always been just right outside that lead. So I knew I've got to still get better at all the other shit that nobody else focuses on. And everybody's great. And I'm not shitting on guys. And hey, I wish I could do what these guys like Blake Christian or all these guys can do. I have a real problem with wrestling now where it's like, oh, people shit on what I do and the simplicity of what I do, but everybody else is allowed to have their opinions about what they do. So my opinion of wrestling is very different. And I look at all the stars in the past and I try to go, name 5 moves they did. Name. You will know they cared about Steve Austin. They care about MJF. They care about Dusty. They care about Triple H. Nobody gives a shit. Now, there is an absolute spot for those crazy flippy white guys. Like, it's amazing what these guys can do. But, like, I can't do that shit. I just can't. And even if I can do it, I'm going to look like shit doing it on the same card with them, and that just exposes me. So I'll just try to simplify it as much as I can and worry about trying to get people invested and caring about me. And that's something that's really happened at Action. It's Bizarro world. I'm a heel everywhere else in the world, but there I'm their asshole. So that place has really helped me. Yeah, I just have a real problem with the way wrestling has went with some things. And I just have to do it the way I want to do it and the way I'm happy, or I'll never be happy. And that goes back to the contract shit and all that other stuff. I just got to be happy with the way I'm doing it. And I've been having a lot of fun here lately. So yeah, I try to dumb it down, man. And somebody else's DDT might not be a finish. Great. Don't give a shit. Barry Bonds had a different – everybody hit home runs, but that one guy's swing was a little bit better than everybody else's. You know what I'm saying? I try to compare shit to other sports. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember even like a story from when Cowboy James Storm had that really brief run in NXT, like between like Impact runs. He was there for like a couple appearances, and I remember him talking in an interview about how he had a conversation with Triple H, and Triple H was like, "Hey, you're gonna have to change your finish. You know, everyone here does super kicks. Like, you know, everyone just uses them." And he was like, "Difference is, you know, when I hit it, people don't get up." And he was like, "Okay, fair enough. Like, you can use that."
Yeah, and it's hard on the indies, man. And promote. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but people have really respected me and what I'm trying to do for the most part, and I really appreciate it. You know, that goes with shows and workers, and I try to do it well so people don't feel shortened. But got people have been really respectful, and selfishly, I feel like I have a good one. So I have to pull out some other crazy stuff. You know, when it gets certain shows, I'll pull out more than a few moves. But I just try to.
I was gonna say, I've seen you use a flaming branding iron on people, dude. Like, yeah, well, you're willing to go any style for sure.
That's not a move. That's shenanigans. But that's the equalizer, you know. But it don't work all the time. But sometimes it has to get pulled out. So.
Yeah. What were those experiences like, brother? Sorry, Jeremy. I'll pass it to you after this one. With those kind of like ICW type shows that you have done, like, which is like totally. I mean, really outside of like most wrestlers' elements, but like when I see you do it, I'm really like, damn. And Jay Newman's another one who's been doing it more recently that I didn't kind of expect to see doing it, but he's really being successful with it. What's your kind of thoughts on doing that? Do you want to do it more often, or is that just something where it's like you that's good, you're good on that?
Let's be diplomatic here. I really think there's a place for it at certain times. You know, I had a crazy match with John Wayne Murdoch, Eric Ryan. I've had some really cool stuff happen. I do draw the line at some stuff because I just don't see the benefit in a lot of things. Some of those guys are batshit crazy, and I don't understand what goes on with them. Yeah, I don't play with the glass. I don't play with some of those things. Hey, if they want to do it, it's their life, it's their body, you know, whatever. I really enjoy the environment. To me, there's nothing more beautiful than a well-timed guy bleeding and chaos, and Ric Flair bleeding, leaving after Terry Funk has jumped from the announce table. You know what I mean? Like, I think that shit's beautiful. Some shit sucks, and I think a lot of shit on those shows suck, and that's me being as blunt as I can be. But those guys know that, and I've always been blunt and honest with what I think about some of that stuff. But if they want to do it, great. And there's an audience for all that stuff. But I really wanted to prove that I can do anything, and I can be pretty good at it without playing by their rules, and I can play by my rules. So that's kind of goes with the any style thing. So
you were actually going to ask what I was going to ask, Jensen, is because I see the death matches. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it fits Adam Priest, but you've done them, and I was wondering, kind of why you got into them. So I appreciate your answer on that. And then kind of my last one as we start to wrap up here. You mentioned like the different styles and how everybody on the indies might kind of do the same thing and whatnot. And you talked about Jonathan Gresham earlier. I had a conversation with Jonathan Gresham a while ago where he kind of mentioned the same thing. He's like, everyone just feels invincible on the indies. Like there's no one who has, and maybe you've heard this conversation from Jonathan as well. He's like,
everybody's
no one
Superman. Everybody is a badass. Everybody, everybody's go ahead.
He's like, no one has a weakness. Like when I get in there, people know that like if I get hit, like kind of striking is my weakness. I'm not like the best striker in the world. I'll pretzel you. I'll turn you into a pretzel, but like striking might not be like my strength. And it sounds like you follow kind of a similar philosophy of that, of like, you kind of got to have a weakness in wrestling so people have sort of a reason to either get behind you or have a reason to be like, yeah, this guy, he's going to actually lose for once.
Yeah, the smart ones figured out.
I think Jonathan Gresham's one of like the greatest minds in wrestling, by the way.
Oh, there's nobody better. He's helped me out a lot. Yeah, it's sometimes I'll watch and like I said, there's a lane for everything, and I'm not who the fuck am I? What do I know? But sometimes I'll watch something. I go, are we in the same sport here? Like, are we don't have the same mindset of this at all, but people love that shit because you see what's on Wednesday nights and you see what's on, but there's certain shows that I like better. Yeah, everybody's Superman. And if Steve Austin can get his ass kicked, I think everybody can get their ass kicked. Oh, my dog jumping in the frame here. Sorry. Everybody can get their ass kicked. If Hulk Hogan can get his ass kicked, I agree with whatever he said. I probably agree with. So, yeah, that pure stuff is a good example. People might shit on that pure stuff, but it's more like that tells more stories than almost anything, in my opinion. I think, I understand things being more entertaining and stuff, but it's almost easier to tell a story when there's rules. But some people don't quite think that. I don't know. I thought that pure stuff really showed that sometimes there needs to be rules to break rules, but whatever.
I mean, I'd like to see you in some pure stuff. You mentioned possibly doing ROH coming back at some point. I would like to see that, some type of pure rules match with Adam Priest.
Yeah, we did some stuff, but Gresham ran some mag shows. Like I said, I'm gonna try and talk him into getting some stuff going. I think he's got a little bit of opening in his schedule now, but he's doing great in Impact. But I'm gonna try and talk him into it. I love him. I don't think it's something that I want to do every night, but I think I think the pandemic era of Ring of Honor was really capitalizing, and I think from him pushing that, I think he was a catalyst in that. I thought that was great. I thought they were different. I thought that pure stuff was different. Hey, if you don't like it, piss off. Who cares? But I thought that stuff was great. It's not for everybody, but I think there needs to be rules to break rules. So,
For sure.
I know you said you don't like going back and watching your own matches, but do you have a favorite match and or a favorite moment like of your own career?
I can't single out one match. I think me and the Anthony Henry stuff was
Really good in action.
Yeah. Action Uncharted. I think that the more I look back, the chaos of that last match, like the most clout I ever got from anything is when I jumped out of camera frame and like flew and broke a table with my head. Like there's that image. There's me coming off the ladder through the table, pile driving each other, no ropes. The asshole would bust me open every match. The hard kicks, that last match was like, wow. So that was a moment that night where I was like, oh, we did something there in that building. We had a really good Uncharted match. That was about 20-something minutes. So the Henry stuff, that's a guy I didn't talk about. He did me a lot of help and kicked my ass a lot, but we had about a 5-match run last year. Those stick out. The Murdoch matches, I had 2 with Murdoch, and he may be the best of that world. Like that genre. That guy's a hell of a wrestler, death match or not. Let me think if there's anything moment-wise. Is there anything that comes to your mind? I'm trying to think of like a moment where I'm like, oh, that was cool.
I mean, you beating Derek Neal for the New South title. I like that a lot. I really liked your match against Dana McCabe at SCI. That was a really good one.
Thank you. Man, that's been like 2 years there.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago now, or so, maybe.
McCabe's a guy who doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah. He's I've worked him a lot here in the past. Man, I don't know. A lot of stuff slips my mind. I know we're trying to get off here, but
you and Alec Price was recent.
Yeah, we had about a 7-minute match at Open, and that guy, me and him are really good together. We really put it on. We had one other match before, but that was 2 years ago when we both grown up. We had about 7 minutes the other night, and we're pretty good together.
Yeah, because y'all wrestled each other like over the years, but like both of you are really like putting it all together right now. Like, you're both really making names for yourselves.
I think you'll see us together at some point coming up, and actually be able to put on a show, man. I don't know, man. I've fought with a lot of cool guys. Some guys I've met and stuff is cool, like personal stuff, but the Henry matches and the Murdoch matches have probably been my like spectacle matches in a way. So I look back at those like, hey, I actually did something that night, So
Adam, the last one that we ask everybody is, what is the coolest thing you have in your room?
Oh shit! Let's get you want to go in there? Let's look here. Hang on, I'm gonna turn my lights on. Sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Well, I can show you my dog. He's in my bathroom. Let's do it.
What's the dog's name?
Thor. I have a Rottweiler. You see?
Oh, nice.
He's a little fat and out of shape. He's laying in there. Look what I got in my room here. Okay. Here's something cool. I've got a picture here. Let's try to. All right. I know it's terrible reflection here. All right. It is a picture of Benoit, Guerrero, and Jericho in 90. Shit, that'd be 97, right? Before they jumped.
Is in WCW?
Yeah, like Benoit was wearing the red tights. So WCW, my best friend Stick, he big WCW fan. He's a lot older than me. He's like a crazy old uncle, He took that picture, years ago, and he gave it to me now. Like, I got into wrestling, and he knows that Benoit and Guerrero is like 2 of my guys. And it's the random picture he took that night. And he took it and he gave it to me. So that's a random little thing I have from that night. I'm trying to give y'all something more interesting here. I don't know. That's about the only cool thing I can show you. So
no, that's cool.
Oh yeah, that's Yeah, we've had people show pictures and then a great story behind it of like, hey, I took this and I know you're now a wrestler. Some of your favorites. Like that is a very cool thing.
Yeah, a little bit of all their styles in your style, by the way, in the any style.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I get compared to one of those guys a lot, but I try to not be compared to him a lot.
I myself did not want to bring that up during this interview. I was gonna actually
look. It's not disrespectful. Look, I get it. I can tell when people are being a smartass about it. You know, it's obviously a compliment by some people. It's never like, oh, for the other reasons. You know? It's always because of style or whatever. But yes, I pick a lot from him. But it's just sometimes you're just naturally like somebody. It's not by, oh, you know, it's not like Ziggler to HBK level. You know what I'm saying? It's just we move the similar sometimes. But Guerrero, I think he's in my top 3. Nobody was better at a lot of things than him. So, yeah, just 2 of my favorite guys, and he gave me that picture. So I just keep it along with family pictures and stuff. So
awesome,
very cool.
Adam, thank you again for joining us tonight. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram. I'm usually saying something pretty stupid. Adam_Priest_ I think, on Twitter and Instagram. Not Threads yet, not TikTok. I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not going.
I'm with you.
I want Elon to burn it down before I go. We'll see what happens. But mainly on the Instagram and Twitter, not doing Threads. Everybody's trying to talk me into going to that. I'm not doing it, dude. So just there. That's where I get all the bookings and everything. So, and I post weekly what I'm doing every week. So you can keep up with everywhere I'm going to be there.
There you go. All the links are below, everybody. You can follow Adam there on X, Twitter, anywhere else that he's on. Not the Threads. He's not going there. And keep up with him, you know, in the ring, whether it's IWTV, whether it's on Honor Club soon enough, hopefully, or anywhere else. Adam,
Fight
or
Plus,
DPW,
check. I was gonna say Fight Plus. Check out the recent GCW appearances. I mean, big stuff from Adam over there. So absolutely.
You got DPW on demand everywhere. Adam, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight.
Thank you.